Hey, Right Riders, Keith Wheeler here, back with another video for you. And today we're going to talk about AI. AI is everywhere. Everybody's talking about it, what the new thing is, whether it's video or images or writing. So today's video, we're going to talk about 5 ways that I use AI in my self-publishing business and 5 ways that I will not use AI in self-publishing. So with that, let's get started. The first way that I use AI in my self-publishing business is for brainstorming ideas. This can be written books or low content, medium content books. If I know a niche that I want to get into, I'll use AI for finding unique spins on that niche. Many times this brings up things that I might have never even thought of initially. For low content books, for example, this could be a unique theme that merges 2 popular themes together in a way that, again, I wouldn't have thought of on my own. For written books, this can be a new approach on a popular topic. Perhaps taking something that's in public domain and taking that public domain book and asking for unique spins that I can do with it. Ideas for alternative spins on popular children's books, things like that. Now, warning, from my experience, this actually tends to lead to a lot of rabbit holes. So whenever I'm doing brainstorming, I always set a time window for me to be doing it. That way I don't end up spending half a day or longer down these rabbit holes and not actually have anything tangible to come from it. Or worse, I get all these ideas and then I'm stuck. What am I going to work on? So again, setting a time frame, a time window that I'm doing my brainstorming has really helped me from getting sucked down those rabbit holes. The second way that I use AI to help me with my self-publishing business is when it comes to creating starting content. So for puzzle books, this might be making a list for word searches based on a puzzle theme that I'm going to do. I might have an overall theme for my book, but each puzzle within that book is going to have its own theme. And so I'll use AI to come up with word search ideas, words to put in it based on the theme of each individual puzzle. Similarly, I'll use it to make lists and definitions for a crossword puzzle that I'm doing. Again, I keep them all themed as well. And so by telling AI what my theme is for my book and then the theme for that particular puzzle, it really helps get words and, in the case of crossword puzzles, definitions that are really targeted to that particular theme without me having to spend a whole lot of time on the internet searching up ideas. Now for written content, and I'll do this whether it's my nonfiction books or even my longer novels that I'll write, I'll use AI to help create an outline listing popular tropes for the niche, if it's a niche that I'm not super familiar with, both story tropes as well as visual tropes on covers. The third way that I use AI in my self-publishing business is dealing with creator's block. And I say creator's block because it's not just writer's block. If I'm doing puzzle books or other low content, medium content books, I'm not necessarily writing, but you can still get creator's block. So whether I'm creating low content books or written books, inevitably I will reach a point where I just can't figure out where to go next. When this happens, I typically try to just step away for a while, or I'll work on something else. But if that doesn't work, or maybe I'm on a tight timeline and I don't have the luxury of just stepping away, I'll use AI to help re-spark my flame. An example of this is for low content books or puzzle books. I do something similar to what I did in element number 1, brainstorming task, but I do it on a much smaller, hyper-focused level. Since at this point, I already know what my book is going to be about, what my puzzle book is going to be about, I create a more specific prompt that helps me brainstorm while not straying too far off course from what the original product is. Now for written content, 2 things that I absolutely love to do is to feed AI what I've already written, either the whole thing or just a relevant section, and ask it, number 1, to rewrite this from the perspective of whatever, like the antagonist, the sidekick. One time I actually asked it to write it from the perspective of the fly sitting on the computer keyboard on the desk in the corner of the room. Another thing I like to do is to ask AI to rewrite the text in a different point of view. For example, second person point of view or third person. Now, to be honest, this very seldom leads to some mind-blowing perspective that I actually use in my book, but it does provide me with a reprieve from the original content that I was writing and allows me to come back to it with a new sense of eagerness. This actually allows me to go from brain-locked to brain-engaged within just a short period of time, much shorter than any other approach I've tried. Many times my creator's block only lasts 30 minutes or so, where it used to last days or even weeks. Now, before I get to number 4, let me know down in the comments if you've ever dealt with creator's block, whether it's writer's block or creator's block, when you're creating low content, no content, medium content books. Let me know in the comments, because I'm sure that you're not alone. And I'm sure I'm not alone, that it happens to many of us. Now, the 4th way that I use AI in my self-publishing books business is communication. This is a huge one for me. One of the most time-consuming parts of my mornings used to be responding to emails. And I don't mean emails from viewers and readers. I mean emails from businesses, libraries, bookstores, sometimes spam, etc. Well, I've now learned I can use AI to respond to these types of emails instead of me or my VA doing it. Now, don't get me wrong, I still personally respond to every customer, every reader, every viewer email, YouTube comment, etc. And I don't ever imagine that changing, because that's why I'm here. That's why I do these videos, is to interact and to get feedback, to make sure that what I'm putting out there, you're enjoying. But for the business emails from KDP, etc., I now have my VA respond, but they respond using AI-generated responses. This way, I'm not wasting my money having my VA spend hours and hours typing out unique responses to each individual business, but I'm also not letting any potential future business slip through the cracks. An example of this with KDP is I did a video a couple weeks ago where I showed my Respond Right GPT that I created, where you get those cryptic emails from KDP and you don't know what it means, you don't know how to respond to it. Well, I used AI to create a GPT that you can basically import a little bit of information in there, the title, and copy and paste the actual text that you got from KDP, and you put it in there. You click yes to run it, and it spits out a unique email that's specific to that particular email. And it's a response that you can literally just copy and paste right into the reply back to KDP. And I'll link to that video at the end of this video. So if you want to see that in action, you can check that out. But again, it helps me save time by me not doing it myself, and save money by me not paying my VA to type all of this out. Responding to emails is a way that can be automated. And why not use AI to help me do that? And the 5th way, very similar, but the 5th way that I use AI to help my self-publishing business is creating automation for my business. Now, there are a ton of repetitive tasks that we do every day in our business. Respond Right GPT that I just talked about, it's an example of me using AI to create something important to my business, but something that I could create one time, and then going forward, every time I get an email from KDP, me or my VA can input that information in, and it'll generate a response to send to KDP that saves me time and money. But other things that I plan on automating are creating book sales pages. These book sales pages can be used to present to bookstores that I want to sell my books in, physical bookstores. Creating effective Amazon book descriptions based on whatever book I'm trying to publish at that particular time. Instead of taking the time to either write it out myself, or taking the time to hire somebody, or the money to hire somebody to write a book description that honestly may not work. It may not be good enough. I've been doing this long enough to know what works in a blurb for Amazon product pages and what doesn't. And so I can program, using AI, I can program a product that I can then use to write that for me. And I just put in a little bit of information about that book, or my VA does, and it'll generate an effective Amazon book description in mere minutes. Now, I'll be honest, creating these GPTs has been extremely fun. And even though I have been in programming for over 20 years, you don't need to be a programmer to do it. Catherine Shelton from Tangent Templates, I don't know if you've heard of it, but Catherine Shelton came up with an amazing course called Origins. And it's all about the magic of AI and how you can use it in business, not just in books, but in business in general. And that's actually how I first learned how to create these GPTs. And the truth is you don't need to be a programmer. You can write in just everyday language to create these GPTs. If you want to check out Origins for yourself, you can head on over to kwheelerbooks.com/origins. But before you do, we need to talk about the 5 ways I will not use AI in my self-publishing business. Now, if you found this video helpful so far, please give it a thumbs up. It lets YouTube know to show this video to other people like you that could get value from it as well. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's absolutely free. All the cool kids are doing it. And click that bell notification so you get alerted every time I put out new videos just like this one. So what are 5 ways I will not use AI for my self-publishing books business? Number 1 is fact checking. Have you ever been told something growing up and known it as fact just to find out later that, well, it wasn't true? For example, Santa, the Easter Bunny, or my personal favorite, if you cross your eyes too long, it'll stay that way. Well, just like we as human beings base our knowledge on information that we've been given or fed, AI's knowledge is based on what it's been fed. And since we all know that not everything on the internet is accurate, not everything that AI is fed is accurate, and since it's AI, it can't extrapolate based on context what should be trusted and what should not. That's why I do all my fact checking myself on reliable industry sites. So for example, if I was doing a book about market research, and I've been in market research for 27 years, I would reach out to sites like the AMA, American Marketing Association, and that's where I would get some of my information. I would not just trust. Now, I might use AI, like I said before, to brainstorm, maybe to get some ideas, but before I publish a book, during my self-editing phase, I do all the fact checking myself. And if it's something that I know I used AI for, I will check that even more delicately. And because that can be time consuming, I usually don't use AI for any nonfiction book that I create, whether it's under my name or under a pen name. I don't want to ever mislead a customer and give them information that's not accurate, even if it's not under my own name, which ties right into the second way that I will not use AI in my business, and that is anything legal. And I know this is a broad generalization, but by anything legal, I mean trademark research, copyright research, final brand or title names. I will not use AI for any of that without doing my own final checking, similar to the fact checking I was just talking about. I mean, AI might come up with a great brand name, perfect for the brand that I want to create, or a great book title that's really catchy. But before I commit to that brand or title, I'm going to do my own trademark research using USPTO and places like that. And similar to fact checking, I'm not going to use any legal advice or create any legal documentation or contracts or anything like that for my business using AI. I'd rather cover my ass by consulting an actual lawyer. The third way that I will not use AI for my book business is my final book covers. I may use AI to help conceptualize a book cover idea or give me a rough idea or suggestion, but I will not use AI to create the final book cover that I end up using on my book. I have multiple book cover creators that I use that are fairly inexpensive, and I'd rather spend $30, $100, etc., and know that I'm getting an original cover than get something AI generated. And I'm not saying that AI can't generate some amazing looking covers. And if I was just doing line journals, then maybe. But I don't do line journals anymore. Everything I do is more content than that. Then I don't use AI generated covers. Number 4, similar to that, I will not use AI for final children's book illustrations in my books. Again, similar to the book covers, when I'm creating children's picture books, the parents are trusting me with their hard-earned money, and more importantly, their child's time and attention. And with them giving that trust in me, the least that I can do for them is to provide them with quality, original illustrations that were created for that particular story. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some instances, there are some book series that I've done where I used, at the time, stock images, right? I didn't use them as they were, and I've got videos on this. I've tweaked them to make unique scenes. And again, they were tailored for that particular book. But as it is with AI, I will not use it for children's illustrations, for the final ones. Now, just like with book covers, I'm completely fine with using AI to conceptualize the characters, conceptualize the scenes and things like that for the illustrations that I can then send to the illustrator. But for the final illustrations, I want it to be a real human illustrating it. And just to cover my tail, I make sure that my instructions to the illustrator that I state clearly that I do not want any AI used for generating the final illustrations for the book. And I do the same thing for my cover designers. Now, is it possible that they get that information and they still use AI? Yes, but at least I have something written where I'm telling them I do not want it. So if it comes back that it is AI generated, then I have something that I can, fight back with. And, it unfortunately is not going to really help the end customers, but at least I can make sure that I get things clarified with that illustrator, whether it's on Fiverr or whatever. So again, you can't guarantee that people are going to keep their word. All you can do is do your best to make sure that you're as clear as possible with what is acceptable for you and what is not. And the fifth way that I will not use AI for my self-publishing business is when it comes to writing a book. And I know there are plenty of videos out there that people have that say you can write a book using AI in a matter of minutes and whatever. That if that's what you want to do for your business, that's fine. But I don't. Just like the other elements that I mentioned, I will not use AI for. I'm fine with using AI in the early stages of writing a story. Brainstorming, like I said before, outlining, conceptualizing, etc. But when it comes down to actually writing the content for my book, the origination needs to come from me. If I was in this business just to make money, right? And I just wanted to, just put out a bunch of books and make money, I promise you, there are faster and easier ways to make money online than writing books. So I'm doing this because I love to write. I love to get my stories out there. And because of that, I want the origination of that manuscript to be from me. And that way I can honestly, when I'm in KDP, say that it was not AI generated. It was AI assisted maybe, but it was not AI generated because the original content, the original manuscript was written from me. This goes for my children's books, my young adult novels, my nonfiction books, and even my Kindle short reads. Another author YouTuber by the name of Chris Fox, he did an amazing video a week or two ago where he compares AI versus what he calls BI, which is artificial intelligence versus biological intelligence. I'll include a link to that video above. It's a really good video. And he basically explains how AI can never, at this moment, there are things that it cannot do when it comes to creating. It can't create off the top of its head. It doesn't have feeling. It doesn't understand sadness or any of that other stuff. And so I'm not going to restate the entire video. It's a really good video. If you're interested in hearing the difference between why AI, he thinks, and I agree, AI should not be used for writing content, or why the writing using AI cannot compete with what a human being can do, you really got to check out that video. Now, just to be clear, this is just my list of what I'll use AI for and what I won't. I know there are people who are completely against AI for self-publishing books and some people that are embracing AI with open arms. And there's plenty of people somewhere across that spectrum. I want to let you know that wherever you are along that spectrum, you're welcome here. Let us know down in the comments what you're okay with using AI for and what you're not. I'd love to hear it. And feel free to read what others are saying and where they're at. Who knows, you might find your next masterminding partner down in my comments. Now, if you're just interested in trolling the comments, judging other people's views, or just being a jerk, well, then you can just head on back to your rickety bridge where the other grumpy trolls belong. Now, earlier I did mention the Respond Right GPT that I created to help create a well-written, unique response to KDP's cryptic emails. You can check that video right here where I demo it. But if you've already seen that, or maybe you're not interested in that, YouTube says that this video right here is perfect for you. I'll catch you inside one of these videos, and remember to write right.